Now I'd like to teach you about the resonance and dissonance between the Ascendant rashi and its Navamsha. So far in this series, I introduced the concept of getting context into your interpretation so that you don't just interpret something out of context of the larger picture. And I said that you've got to start developing that context by looking at the resonance or dissonance between the ascending nakshatra and the moon's nakshatra. Now, the next thing to look at will be about your ascending rashi and ascending Navamsha. And in the video now, I'd like to try to teach you how to combine them. If you get a reading with me, then I'll, of course, going to combine them for you. But in this report, I'll teach you through this video how to combine them using the principle of resonance and dissonance. The concept of resonance and dissonance is this. If two symbols have meanings which are resonant with each other, that means it gets along well with each other, it goes in the same direction, it harmonizes well, then they become important and, in other words, prominent. This is a prominent interpretation and positive. But on the other hand, if two symbols which are joining have dissonant meanings, which means that they clash with each other, they go in opposite directions, those also become important, but they become important challenges or negative things. And then do it on a macrocosmic level also, between the whole thing that you get from considering the resonance and dissonance of the nakshatra and the lunar nakshatra. Take that as a whole, and then take the whole thing that you get, the whole thing meaning the whole interpretive image that you get from the rising rashi and Navamsha. Take those two different images and then put them together and do your resonance and dissonance on that as well. Now, if you wanted to, you could do the resonance and dissonance between the ascending rashi and the moon's rashi. There's no reason why you couldn't do that. After all, that's what we did with the nakshatras. The ascending nakshatra and the moon nakshatra. Put those two together. So you can do the same with the rashis, but rashis have something special, and that's their amshas, their parts. And these are very, very important for understanding the specific degree within a rashi. So let me take a minute just to explain what an amsha is before I explain how to read it. A rashi is a segment of the sun's rays, rash. So it's a segment of the sun's path around the earth, apparent path. Each rashi then, each sign is 30 degrees in length, 1/12 of a circle. Now, in each rashi, there are subsections, just like in every country there are provinces or states, and inside each state there's cities and towns. So the same way inside each rashi there's sections. And the most significant of the amshas in common practice, at least, is Navamsha. Nava means 9, and Amsha means part. So the way of dividing the rashi into 9 parts. Now, each rashi is identified as having its own nature as a zodiac sign. So, for example, even though you may have the rashi of Capricorn rising, as I do, at whatever degree of Capricorn is rising, there'll be a different Navamsha. Each Navamsha covers 3 1/3 degrees. So every 3 1/3 degrees, you get a different segment of whatever rashi is rising. So if you have Capricorn rising, as I do, then Capricorn is a very important rashi. But what kind of Capricorn is this? There's various ways that Capricorn can go. There's various things about Capricorn. Which ones are prominent in this particular person? The first step to determining that is to consider what Navamsha of Capricorn is rising. You take the qualities of that Navamsha sign and you contrast it with the qualities of the main sign. Capricorn in this case. In contrast, it means look for the resonance and dissonance. Then you get your interpretation of what this part of Capricorn is like. And that helps you get your context for interpreting the rest of the details in the chart. So let's do a few examples. We got Capricorn ascending with the Leo Navamsha ascending. There's a dissonance there, you're probably already thinking of it, because Leo belongs to the Sun and Capricorn belongs to Saturn. And the Sun is a certain kind of power, and Saturn is a different kind of power, like a diametrically opposite type of power. Saturn is very, very strong, and the Sun is very, very strong, but they're strong in diametrically opposite ways. Saturn is very strong in a non-hierarchical way, and the Sun is very hierarchical and systematized and organized with its strength. And the Sun is very royal and Saturn is very common. There is a dissonance which makes a person challenged about dealing with hierarchy, dealing with the power establishments, stepping over, or even willingly, intentionally knocking down the leadership hierarchy. So, and actually you can run with this and interpret it, because people have great interpretive skills. Every one of you has great interpretive skills, but what most of you, 99% of you, don't have is the system for how to use those inherent skills that everybody has. So once I tell you the system, like, okay, look at the rashi and the Navamsha, pick out a key point between the two which are resonant or dissonant, and interpret that. You can do that, I'm sure, just as good as anybody else. But the part that I really need to teach you is what to do, and that's what I give you in the report. This is what to focus on. This is what to use your imagination on. This is what to use your intuition on. In this order. Okay, so Capricorn Leo is very, very strong, but strong in a way which clashes, tends to clash with others. Too strong. Now, as I mentioned, you want to take that little molecule of interpretation and put it next to this other molecule that you have from the previous lesson, whereas what you get from interpreting the nakshatras, the resonance of the nakshatras of the moon and the ascendant. Put them together and see what happens. So I have in my family one case of Capricorn ascending with the Leo Navamsha, but the nakshatras are Uttarashad rising. Of course, it's going to be the same for both. Uttarashad rising, and one has a Jeshta moon. The other has a Rohini moon. The other being me, the Rohini moon. So there's a difference now. You see, there's a difference between Capricorn Leo ascending with a Jeshta moon or Capricorn Leo ascending with the Rohini moon. With the Jeshta moon, it's much more difficult getting along with people, criticizing people. You know, Jeshta is the best. So it's too good in an individual way and then becoming too critical and undermining of others. So see, the Jeshta moon really brings out that potential of the Capricorn Leo thing. Whereas with Rohini, Rohini is working in the opposite direction. Rohini is a cooperative sign and a beautiful sign and a gentle sign, but it's enduring and strong. So one thing that it has in common with the synergy of Capricorn Leo is strength. But what it doesn't have in common is the clashiness with the authority, or with the other people at least. So you see, Jeshta moon has this tendency of getting into problems with other people because of being the best. And then Capricorn ascending with the Leo Navamsha has this problem of clashes with power. So with the Jeshta moon and Capricorn Leo, that becomes very prominent. With the Rohini moon and Capricorn Leo, it doesn't become extra prominent now. It's just a part. It's just at its original level. But what does become extra prominent is the thing about being very strong and enduring and tenacious. Because Leo is fixed, Capricorn is tenacious, and Rohini is enduring. So not giving up, being able to withstand pressure. That's a very strong thing of my combination, which is Rohini moon, Capricorn Leo. Okay, then we have Capricorn Cancer. Let's take that as a different example. Different person in my family has Capricorn ascending with Uttarashad again. But instead of Leo, it's just the next Navamsha over, which is Cancer, of course. So here you don't get the same thing about clashing with authorities. Here you get like melancholia, because there's a clash between the soft, gentle moon, or it's just the nature of the soft, gentle moon is emotional, and it's clashing with the practicality of Capricorn. So practicality is a problem. Being emotional when it should be practical, being practical when it should be emotional. There's a bit of the same feeling that Capricorn Sun had, Capricorn Leo had, because the moon is also royal, and it's a royal sign. But you have also outgoing versus introspective clash, because Cancer is so private and introspective, and Capricorn is so public and extroverted. So unable to be either fully introverted or fully extroverted, unable to relate easily in social settings. That's the nature of Capricorn Cancer. Now let's also look at these three famous people that we've been looking at before. If you look at Einstein, Einstein's ascendant in the tropical system is Cancer with Libra. Now in the sidereal system it's Gemini, and everybody thinks, all the siderealists say, well, it's Gemini, that's great because it belongs to Mercury, the intelligent planet, and Einstein was so intelligent. Okay, cool, but what I'm saying, the tropical zodiac says, is he's Cancer rising with a Libra Navamsha. Cancer is private and emotional and reserved. Libra is the opposite. It's outgoing and conversational and relatable. So the big clash there in Einstein's ascendant is between being introverted and private and being outgoing and sociable. And so what that really shows is a really big clash in human interaction, social interaction. I mean, it's terrible in social interactions, very socially awkward, very uncomfortable in relating with people, not even comfortable in family relations. And if you think about his nakshatra mix, which was Ardra and Jeshta, again Jeshta, it's really going to bring out this being too good, making it difficult to relate to others. But what you get actually from Cancer and Libra in terms of a resonance is that Libra is a human sign, right? So it's very intelligent. It's human in air and Venus. Human sign means that the symbol is human. Anytime in the zodiac you have something that's not an animal, it means that there's a human involved. It's Libra, you might think, is just scales, but it's a woman holding the scales. So those signs are particularly intelligent. A bow for Sagittarius, the Greeks and everything put a centaur behind it. But in India, it's just a bow, implying there's a human, there's an archer. Archer's very intelligent. Gemini, two people. Aquarius also has its eclectic intelligence. But this person happens to be a servant in Aquarius, pouring water. And there's a few, and there's another kind of intelligence also, which is water intelligence. And the water signs have this, which is like this intuitive intelligence, deep introspective intelligence, rather than the cleverness that you find in the air signs that are human. So you have the mind. Cancer is about the mind because it belongs to the moon. It's about the mental processes, emotional reflection. And then you have Libra, a very intelligent, clever sign. So there's a synergy between mind in Cancer and intelligence in Libra. And his nakshatra mix, Jeshta, is also very good with understanding secrets, mysteries. And Ardra is also very good for breaking things down into smaller and smaller parts. Now, Marilyn Monroe, her mix is Leo. Her rashi is Leo. Now in sidereal it would be Cancer, and people will say, well, look at her, she looks like a Cancer. But in tropical, her ascendant is Leo with the Cancer Navamsha. So what you get there is this tremendous resonance in royalty. And we're talking about the ascendant. So things can also have a strong effect on the body here. Now, don't forget her nakshatra balance, that was Dhanishta and Ashlesha. So you got a real combination there for a beautiful sense object. Dhanishta and Ashlesha together. Now combine that with the Cancer Navamsha and the Leo rashi. So that's going to make a royal body, right? A famous person. But there's clashes, a lot of clashes, really. Because there's a clash of femininity in Cancer and masculinity in Leo. So being on one hand a very famous, outgoing, well-known person, but on the other hand being very womanly, which is not really outgoing by nature and self-promoting by nature, but on the other hand being self-promoting as a model and an actress and all those things. That's a clash which produced a lot of tension in her life. If you look at her life story, Cancer is very shy and Leo is very confident. So you're going to get this clash where there's going to be reluctance. Cancer is very private, so it's going to be reluctance to reveal one's true self. But Leo is very out there and visible. So what's going to happen in her case is she's going to put forward this public persona and then keep her true persona very much hidden. And Ashlesha also has this nature. It brings this out because Ashlesha is secretive. Because it's all the nagas and the serpents. So it's going to bring out the thing of, she's got this dual life. And she's keeping things secret. She's keeping private things secret and hidden. And finally, let's look at Señor Trump, El Presidente. Mr. Trump has the Leo rashi rising, which is very easy to believe in this case. Because his hair looks like it's on fire and his skin is all red. And of course, he's the president. Leo is a great rising sign. And a Sagittarius Navamsha within Leo. So what you have there is a lot of resonance with fire. Sagittarius is a fire sign, Leo is a fire sign. And fire is the leader's element, it's the Kshatriya's element. So with his nakshatras, there was Magha and Jeshta. So it's all full of politics and leadership power. And people say that he's not a politician, right? He's the non-politician, but actually he's the politician. He doesn't know anything about affairs of state, for sure. But he knows politics better than any of the other people, any of the other politicians. Politics means manipulating information, manipulating people's feelings, manipulating people's blackmailing things and holding things secret, revealing things strategically. He knows that stuff. He's got Jeshta moon and Magha ascendant, and then he's got a Leo ascendant with a Sagittarius. You might think he's not smart. He's smart. He knows how to push buttons, what strings to pull, right? Because he has Sagittarius Navamsha of Leo. He's smart with politics, and he has those nakshatras that are making that really prominent. He has those political nakshatras. So with Leo Sagittarius, you could have other things, you see. In Trump's case, it comes towards politics because of his nakshatras. But you could, especially the moon nakshatra. That's why it's key to do the moon nakshatra, because you need something that's moving independently from the ascendant. Now, in somebody with different nakshatras, well, the knowledge of Sagittarius could also apply to the self or soulness of Leo, the ego-ness, the deepness. So you can also see that in Trump, that he has great knowledge of himself or great interest in knowing himself. But his concept of self is very political or power-oriented because of the Jeshta moon. Probably, as you know, that's our first hint. That's our context setter. Whereas with another person, it could go towards spiritual interests, to have a Sagittarius Navamsha with a Leo Ascendant. And you don't know, Trump's life is not over yet. Wouldn't that be amazing, right? All of a sudden Trump changes from, it can never happen. You can't see a person change that much because they have their background. Navamshas and rashis and nakshatras that we're looking at now, how to interpret. Well, I did predict from his chart that he's going to have a different later half of life, which is more philanthropic, which is still very hard to believe. Okay, so there you go. That's how you do Rashi of Ascendant with the Navamsha of the Ascendant using the resonance dissonance principle. I gave you a couple of examples. Work on it on your own. But the key thing is you want to have accurate information about your signs. You want to have accurate information about what your rising sign represents and what your rising Navamsha represents. So for that, please get my birth chart report, so that you can work, so that when your intuition is working on something, it's working on the right things. Go to my site, victorcara.com, and then go to the readings section. And then if you want me to do the full reading for you in 4 sessions, 4 one-hour sessions, then get the guided tour, which is the first option. Or if you just want the report, just the data, the information, all arranged in the right prominence order with the right context and with the accurate details of what each symbol represents, then get the second option, which is the complete chart assessment. Or for the first option, just go to victorcara.com/R1, or for the second option, just go to victorcara.com/R2. Not R2D2, just R2. See you next time, where we get further and further into understanding the context or the background of interpretation of a chart. So make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss it.